and welcome to QuiltMoxie, the podcast, where QuiltMoxie meets Craftsy.com, an online community dedicated to providing the best education and resources for crafters. Join me, Ariana, your host, and come along on my video journey where I participate in the Craftsy online classes and community. Meet up with us online at QuiltMoxie.com or at your favorite hangout, Craftsy, Ravelry, Facebook, Twitter. Check the credits at the end of the show for more. You can also subscribe to our mailing list to get your next and every episode with show notes delivered directly to your email as soon as the episode is available. It's as simple as dropping your email address and checking Receive Podcast by email. Hello everybody, welcome back or welcome for the first time. It is hot, it's humid, it's summer, school's out, my kids are at home, and today we're talking episode 23, Artemisia sweater with Mercedes Tarasovich-Clark. We have a QuiltMoxie Fan Club, and we have a knitting pattern. So let's get started with the Artemisia sweater with Mercedes Tarasovich-Clark. You can see it right behind me. So I signed up for the Artemisia seamless Artemisia sweater with Mercedes Tarasovich-Clark because I wanted to learn how to do the shoulders, the actual shoulders built into the sweater. No seams. Except it's not just one Craftsy class. It turns out there are 6 Craftsy classes that resulted in my gorgeous sweater, which I love. First of all, this is the wool that my mom brought back from Peru when she went last November. So I wanted it to be a special sweater. I wanted to knit something special out of it. And the first thing I did was I posted on the Craftsy platform. Actually, you know what I'll do is let me list the 6 Craftsy classes that contributed to the final result. So class number 1, and I'm going to read this off so you can see it on your screen. I'll probably put the little pictures. Know your yarn. Choose the perfect yarn every time with Clara Parks. And you know that Clara Parks is the yarn whisperer. Then there was Knit to Flatter with Amy Herzog. And that was in episode 11. I talked about my experience with Knit to Flatter. There is Knitting with Beads with Laura Nelkin, which I talked about in episodes 11 and 13. Heirloom Lace Edgings with Franklin Habit. That was from episode 14, and that's also included in this gorgeous sweater. Did I get them all? Oh no. Seaming Beyond the Basics with John Bringar. Yes, I posted on the Craftsy platform for some assistance from John, and he was very, very helpful. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the resulting Artemisia sweater. Let me just bring her closer. Hopefully you'll be able to see right off the bat. You can see that I've added beads all over. I've added beads. That's how I modified this pattern. And I've also changed the shoulder. I've added a lace motif with beads here. And on the wrist, I don't know if you can see that, I've added some lace motifs with beads. So those are the modifications to the pattern. And for the lace with beads, if you'll recall the class Knitting with Beads with Laura Nelkin, she has sort of a section in that Craftsy class where she guides you on how you would place beads, or how you would go about adding beads so that it made sense. And I decided, I did do my swatch, but there are no beads on it. After I did my swatch, I decided, oh, I think it would be kind of fun to add beads to this. So I went back to the Laura Nelkin Knitting with Beads class, and she walked me through how to add beads to your project, and I really like the result. Now my beads, you can see, they're not all one color beads. I just took a whole bunch of different color beads, sprinkled them on top of my swatch, and decided I liked the way the beads sort of glittered with this fabric. So that's how I added beads to the project. And the first thing I did was I contacted Clara Parks on the Craftsy platform. I have not gone through her full class, but I did post to her and I asked her about the baby alpaca yarn that my mom had brought back to find out what kind of cardigan or sweater I could knit with it, or what I should watch out for. And she basically sort of gave me some advice, and I decided that the Artemisia sweater would fit that advice. And I really like the results. It wears really well. I didn't put it on today because I'm already really hot. In fact, you might be hearing the fan in the background. There was just no way I could do this video podcast without a fan. So I hope it doesn't bother you guys too much. Let's see here. Okay, so first I got the okay from Clara Parks. Thank you, Clara. And then I went to check the Knit to Flatter with Amy Herzog for two things. Now, you'll notice that the Artemisia sweater is sort of a boat neck, which might not be so flattering for my body type in the Knit to Flatter. And the other thing I checked was for the shaping, because there is shaping involved in this sweater, and I wanted to be sure, and I don't really remember right now if I did add extra shaping as per the Knit to Flatter formula, but in any case, because the Craftsy classes are there always, I just double checked to be sure that my shaping was okay as per Mercedes pattern. Okay, so what's so special about this? Well, first of all, I love the way Mercedes constructed this. It is all top down, and you're knitting the shoulder right into your garment. It's all one. You just knit from the top down, and you end up with a sweater. Now, the reason I talked to John Bringar from the Seaming Beyond the Basics is because we learned from the Knit to Flatter and from John that when you're doing a seamless construction, you're going to miss a little bit of structure. And I thought with the baby alpaca, it would be really helpful to have some structure. And that is why I contacted John. So I decided that maybe if we don't have any structure in the form of seams in this sweater, how about adding some seams afterwards? Because he shows you how to put decorative seams in, etc. And I did put in some decorative seams. I wanted to put, let me see, it was the double lock suture that he had demonstrated in his Craftsy class that I wanted to add, which basically looks like a garter stitch. And I thought it would be nice to see it along the shoulder seam. I did try it on one shoulder seam, and then I ended up taking it out because it really didn't add anything. But I did leave one double lock suture just for you to see, and I think it looks kind of nice along the shoulder. So let's see if my camera will pick it up. So you're going to see here, hopefully you're seeing it, that you have garter ridges along the shoulders. Well, the middle garter ridge is his double lock suture. I'm going to show you the other side so you can see the difference. This one, I did not do it, so you should see a gap. There you go. So there it is. Okay, so Heirloom Lace Edgings. That was the class with Franklin Habit. And what did I do to add a little bit of Heirloom Lace Edgings? Well, it was for the pockets here on the bottom. Show this. You're going to see here, I hope I can come in close, that you're going to see the nice V's that you get along the edge. And that is, I was using Franklin Habit's edge treatment. He's got sort of an edge stitch that he includes in his class. He shows you how to do an edge stitch. So I did that for both of the pockets. I did change the way the pockets were knit, in the sense that I ended up doing the pockets right away. Instead of putting them on waste yarn, I did them 2 at a time, because I like to do stuff 2 at a time, on 1 needle and 2 pieces of yarn, and I just continued knitting. So there was no waste yarn. I didn't do that. I just knitted it and then bound them off, and then continued doing the rest of the sweater. What else is there? You're going to see the shaping here and here. Let's turn her around so you can see the back. Again, some more shaping. Here are the shaping. Was there anything else? Well, you know that I really like doing the Judy Becker seamless cast on, magic cast on. So again, I really recommend doing the top down version. And when you get to the sleeves, instead of putting them on waste yarn or knitting them later, etc., I use the magic cast on, and I have a ball of wool for each of the sleeves and a ball of wool for the middle, and I do my sleeves 2 at a time, very much the same way as knitting socks. And 2 sleeves, believe it or not, are less than 1 middle of a sweater. So for those of you who don't like doing the sleeves, you might consider doing 2 sleeves before you complete the body, because the body is not as heavy at this point. It's very light, so that when you're actually knitting the sleeves, it's not very difficult to turn your work around, because it's not that heavy. It's just like knitting 2 pairs of socks, really. It's just thicker yarn. Yeah, and then the motif on the edge of the sleeve, that was just a lot of fun to add those lace details. And I find that little piece of lace repeats with the top of the sleeve area, and it looks really very nice. Yeah. And for those of you who have been following me on Instagram, I'm just getting, used to using Instagram, and I did post this Artemisia sweater, and Laura Nelkin and Mercedes actually gave me a high five on the sweater, and they reposted it because they really thought it was a good idea that I combined knitting with beads with the Artemisia sweater and all of these other craftsy classes. So I'm so glad that the sweater turned out so well, and I really love wearing it. Of course, now we can't wear it. It is way too hot, but it is really a lot of fun to wear. So I'd like to encourage you guys, if you haven't tried seamless knitting, incorporating your sleeve caps directly into your knitting, this is a fun way to do it, and Mercedes really guides you through it step by step. There were a lot of new things that I learned. It was a sweater with shaping. I got to put in some pockets, and I got to do the magic cast on again under the arms, which was, yeah, a lot of fun. So go out there and sign up. The next thing I'd like to talk about is my QuiltMoxie Fan Club. I have a fan club now. The last episode that we released was Bra Magic with Beverly Johnson. Well, I didn't get a chance to let you guys know that Beverly Johnson has given us a promo code to get 10% off of your bra supplies when you go to Bra Maker Supply. Just put the word QuiltMoxie into the comments, etc., and you will get 10% discount on whatever you purchase. Of course, my favorite QuiltMoxie Fan Club member, who's been here since practically the beginning, is Craftsy.com. As you know, I'm a Craftsy.com affiliate, which means that when you click through from my website, which is QuiltMoxie.com, there is a Craftsy banner in the upper right-hand corner. And if you do end up purchasing something from Craftsy, I might or might not, we don't know, get some monies to help support the podcast as a Craftsy affiliate. And it doesn't cost you anymore. In fact, I'd like to encourage you to come and visit QuiltMoxie.com just to look at the banner, because when Craftsy is having a big sale, it'll automatically show up on my website with their banner, and you'll know if it's the right time to purchase a Craftsy class. So check there. And another one of my favorite fan club members is, of course, Yazzie.com. Yazzie is such an exciting lady. You never know where she is. In fact, just before I went to podcast, I decided to check her event schedule, and she is actually in Australia right now. But this lady moves quick. Speedy Gonzalez is the cartoon character that she reminds me of, because you don't know where she's going to be. So thank you so much, Yazzie, because we have, since the last time I podcasted, we have had our first Personal Craftsy Club member prize winners. There were 2 ladies who have participated in our Personal Craftsy Club on Ravelry.com, and it's open to everybody. If you are taking a Craftsy.com class and you have finished, or you're in one of the Craftsy classes and you're working on a project and you want to chat about it, or you want to show us your finished object, you could be eligible to win a Yazzie.com personal organizer of your own choice as well. And some of the ladies that have been participating since we launched it this year have actually won their own personal organizer. In fact, both ladies have selected the same one. How coincidental. I'm going to read you off the winners. Our first winners for our first quarter, every quarter, so the next one is going to be happening probably by the end of this week. So get your postings in there or chat with us so you're eligible to win your own Yazzie.com bag. Was Lori, who's known as the Frosted Cow on Ravelry. And she has her own podcast, and she was so excited that she showed off her personal organizer that she got from Yazzie.com on her podcast, and it's called Sewing on the Farm. I'm going to link to all of this for you in the show notes, so you can check out her podcast and you can see what she actually won and how excited she is about her personal organizer. The other lady that got the same organizer, just a different color, is Ruth, and she is Ruma 1 on Ravelry.com. So congratulations, ladies, and thank you so much for participating in our Personal Craftsy Club. I get so excited when I see what you guys are working on, and it's just a fun way to share what we are doing with Craftsy and all the projects that we are coming up with. So I'm very excited. And for those of you who have not entered or would like to enter and be eligible for these awesome prizes by Yazzie.com, please go ahead and post your finished projects, or tell us what you're doing on Craftsy.com or your works in project in the chatter thread and be eligible to win your own personal Yazzie.com personal organizer. So as a treat, I have behind me another personal organizer by Yazzie.com that I'm going to show you today. So this is the fourth organizer that I'm showing you. You'll remember the first one was the quilter organizer. And this one, first of all, I love the color. Hot pink. I love this one. This, to me, is the ultimate in travel crafting. If you need to travel anywhere and you want to bring your crafts with you, so let me show you, you can totally wear this off your shoulder. And you're going to say to me, well, it looks so small. This is huge. In fact, I didn't even fill it up to show you what was in it. I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to let you know now that for those of you who know, I watercolor, I crochet, I knit. What else do I do? I paint. Well, let's take a look and see what I have inside. So they're all zippered, they're all handmade, and they're really well made. Really well made. And each one of her organizers comes with a summary. This one is the Crafter's Companion. And you'll see here on her description, it gives you the dimensions, and she gives you some ideas of what you can carry in this Crafter's Companion. But this Crafter's Companion, I think, is just so versatile. So let's take a look at what I've got in here. So on page 1, and you can see that I have hardly filled it up. I have to go back a bit. I like the way it's designed like a book, so that you can just sort of leaf through it. So on page 1, you can see here on the top I have some of my quilting supplies. I've got some beads, look at that. And the beading dental floss that we use to put our beads onto our yarn. Look at this, empty because I couldn't think of what to put. I mean, there's so much space in here. Coming over here, I've got my earbuds and the Lucy Neatby iPod holder. I've got some sewing supplies. So you could put your embroidery supplies. Let's take a look. Okay, some more quilting supplies. But look at this. You have all of your pencils, your crayons, your whatever, my paintbrush. And the reason I chose this one is because this is one of those long handle paintbrushes. So it fits inside. It doesn't matter. The other paintbrushes are going to be shorter. So for sure, if I need to bring a bunch of paintbrushes to do my watercolors wherever I might be, this would be the ideal crafter's companion. Let's see what else. Oh, so here I've got some of my watercolor, I think in French it's godet containers, but I could put like a big collection of whatever watercolor that I would like to take. Here I've got my sketchbook, and I've got some metallic Derwent Inktense pencils, but they could be sketching pencils or whatever. The point is, I could put way more in here and still be able to zip it up and be sure that I'm not going to lose everything, because it just, sorry about the noise, let me just zip it up. But you can hear how solid the zippers are as I zip it up. So, and it's a double zipper, so you can open it from the middle. Isn't that gorgeous? Beautiful, beautiful. I love my Crafter's Companion, so thank you so much, Yazzie. And for those of you who are participating in the Personal Craftsy Club, well, that would be an awesome, the Crafter's Companion would be amazing. You will not be disappointed. In fact, when you see the other ladies that have won their own craft organizer, you're going to be delighted. I am so excited that I have a knitting pattern, but not just any knitting pattern, a tech edited knitting pattern. So I'm so excited to let you guys know. But I'd like to flash back a bit. You'll remember in episode 10, I interviewed Tina from Knitting Bloom's podcast, and she's a delightful, fun podcast. And remember, when we watch Knitting Blooms, we get to see her yarn, because it's like a fortress of yarn behind her. She's also a designer of patterns, and in the interview, she had encouraged all of us to create our own knitting pattern. Well, I thought about what she said, and I decided I was going to do that. So I put something together, and I put it onto Ravelry, and unbeknownst to me, I had actually published my first knitting pattern. Wow. I just thought I was putting it there as a draft, and I was going to get maybe Tina to take a look at the pattern and try it out, and some of my other knitting buddies. And before I could do anything, people were already downloading the pattern. And one of those people was Donna Dracunas. Yes, episode 6, all about toe-up socks. The lady that taught me how to knit toe-up socks. Not only did she download the pattern, she gave me a huge glowing review, which she tweeted across Twitter. So guess what I did? Nothing, because I was scared to touch my little pattern. I didn't want it to disappear, because I didn't even know how I had published it on Ravelry. Okay, so now here I am. I have my pattern in Ravelry, and I'm scared to touch it, to tweak it, to do anything to it until 6 months later. So that brings me to Dark Matter Knits with Elizabeth Green Musselman. I think I watched Dark Matter Knits probably right from the beginning, and I love Elizabeth's podcast. It's very thought out. She's a knitwear designer, but a knitwear designer for predominantly men's knitwear, which is so unique. Very niche, somewhat like me, doing just Craftsy Classes. And she's just a delight to watch her podcast. So if you have, by any chance, missed that podcast, please go ahead and check her out. You're going to love her. In every one of her podcasts, she sort of selects a theme that she's going to talk about. And she comes up with a tutorial at the end, all around that one theme, which is so much fun to watch. Anyway, Elizabeth and Anne got together, and they just launched Stitch Definition, their new company, to help knitwear designers, knitwear professionals, knitwear industry do whatever knitwear designers and professionals need to have done. So I decided I was going to email her and see if she could help me with my little pattern. And what a professional. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. So she said yes, she could get my little pattern tech edited, and she assigned an amazing tech editor, Maureen, who did that for me. And the pattern is so much better, and they had lots and lots of tips and ideas for me to put into this pattern. I'm so grateful. In fact, you'll remember Joyce of Aussie Yarning. She had given me a list of items that I should have put into the pattern, but I was too scared to touch it, and I just sent that off to Elizabeth and Maureen. And now we have the Forget-Me-Not Sock Heel recipe on Ravelry.com. And the title of the actual pattern, I can barely remember it. I have to say to myself, FM, New Hampshire, Forget-Me-Not Sock Heel recipe. It's dedicated to my mom. You'll remember that my mom does not like to knit socks, and especially not sock heels. So this is the recipe for you to be able to add a sock heel after the fact. So whether it's top down, with or without a gusset, cuff down, top down, toe up, with or without a gusset, it doesn't matter. This recipe will walk you through how you can add your own sock heel. In fact, I'm planning to do, who would have thought there's so many sock Craftsy classes? Well, Lara Neal just came out with a sock your way Craftsy class, which I plan to do over the summer, and I'm hoping that you guys are going to join me as well. And yes, this is the same lady that wrote the book Sock Architecture, which I have purchased as well. And I found out she also has a podcast. In fact, she has a podcast that dates back a couple of years ago, and I didn't even know about it. So I will add that to our show notes as well, so you can check her out as well. So my plan is I'm going to take my Forget-Me-Not Sock Heel recipe, FMNH, and I will try to do as many of her sock toes and heels that she does in her Craftsy.com class using my Forget-Me-Not Sock Heel recipe. It'll probably be a cowl, and I'll just litter toes and heels all around it, something to that effect. It would be fun if you guys join along. You're joining along and you're going to be doing Socks My Way with the Lara Neal class on Craftsy. Go ahead and post that in our Personal Craftsy Club. The sock heel recipe pattern is available for free till the end of September. And the promo code is FMNH free. So just put that in on Ravelry and you can get your own sock heel recipe, Forget-Me-Not Sock Heel recipe, and join along. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with. And yeah, I hope to show the Socks Your Way class in September, my third socks class in September by Lara Neal. So that's something to look forward to. I'm very excited. Thank you so much, Elizabeth and Maureen, for helping me with the sock heel recipe. It means a lot, and I showed it to my mom, and she is very thrilled with it. So thank you very much. I'm going to show you my last two pairs of socks that I did using the Forget-Me-Not Sock Heel recipe. It is the same pattern, As you know, that I'm participating in the Op Art Cal by Stephanie van der Linden, so it's her pattern. So these are the socks that are on the cover of the pattern. And let me see if I can give you a close-up of what it looks like installed. So here's one of the heels installed. One of the heels I did with a slip stitch heel, and the other one I did with a I've partridge heel. So let's look at the inside to give you an idea of what it looks like on the inside. So here's the heel on the inside after it is installed. And I did the same op art pattern, which is called Starlet, and I did it in stranded style. This is actually chunky yarn. So what I ended up doing was, let's see if we can show this off a bit. I think I changed something along the heel. I suppose you can see it, I'm not sure. So here's the other heel. This one is just a slip stitch heel. And yeah. So the heels are a lot of fun to put in afterwards, and you can always change your mind and put in a different heel or add a motif to your heel. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with. Newsflash, I just checked Dark Matter Knits by Elizabeth, the Ravelry group, and she has set up the Forget-Me-Not sock heel recipe thread where you can post your finished socks if you've used the FMNH sock heel recipe to complete your socks, and you're going to be eligible to win a $25 coupon for the QuiltMoxie Etsy shop, and this will end at the end of September. So you've got all summer long to knit socks. And check out Elizabeth's podcast. It's really wonderful. So I'd like to wish you guys a lot of fun in your summertime activities with your family and friends this year. We're going to be really, really busy throughout the summer. I know our Australian buddies are in their winter time, so you guys are going to be knitting up a storm. I hope to be showing off some of my progress with my sock toes and heels knitting throughout the summer. No promises. We're really, really busy this summer. So, à la prochaine. Till next time. Bye for now.